Hey, we're going to stray from the usual animated style of videos for a moment, just to talk about something that's important. I know you're used to seeing Patchman up here, but well, since he disappeared through the guidepost of Light Portal, it's up to all of us, meaning physical beings who have the ability to affect the physical world, to open up the collective mind. Now, although the mainstream scientific world would have us believe that atheism is on the rise and the mainstream religions are going down, the truth is that there's still only about 2%, maybe 3% of the world's population that actually classify themselves as atheist, and about 13 or 14% who call themselves non-religious. Whereas the big three take up over half of the world's population, meaning Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And spiritual diversity has become incredibly important to me. It's something I think about all the time, and I always wonder, why is it that people believe what it is that they believe? And why is it that certain faiths create struggles with each other within the faiths, and other faiths harmoniously merge with other faiths of the world? That's what I want to find out. The more that I research, the more that I question and look at all of the world's religions, the more I'm starting to see that there's these very common strains that seem to run through all of them. Take animism, for example. This is one of the oldest belief systems on the planet, dating back to almost 2 million years ago. It predates any form of organized religion, in favor of a universal spirituality that observes everything as a part of a unified whole. The word animism is derived from the Latin word anima, meaning breath or soul. Animism itself is not a religion, but rather one of the oldest belief systems on the planet, with its origins dating as far back as the Paleolithic Age. Animism predates any form of organized religion and is said to describe the most common, foundational thread of spirituality and supernatural perspectives in the world. Animism is a belief that everything on the planet, and even the planet itself, has a spirit or a soul. Everything from animals, plants, rivers, and mountains all live together as a part of a global community of living spirit, infinitely and eternally connected to a larger, universal spirit, all of which deserves respect. To the indigenous and tribal people of the earth, the animistic perspective is so fundamental that most animistic indigenous people do not even have a word in their language that corresponds to animism. To them, it is simply a part of everyday life. In animism, a spirit is often a member of a multi-species community, including, for example, rock spirits, tree spirits, or the spirit of the buffalo. Those who follow a practice of animism often claim to personally know the spirit of at least some rocks, animals, or plants because they give and receive gifts, engage in conversations, or act towards others intentionally. In many cultures, trees were regarded as maternal deities or forest spirits, to be respected even when their lives were sacrificed for human use. For example, pagan woodcutters never felled a tree without first begging for forgiveness. Today, the idea of female tree spirits live on in myth and folklore as dryads, the Greek nymph inhabiting the forests. Humans too are spirits because we act in the same way. To respect other spirits does not necessarily mean liking them, it simply means acknowledging that they have rights and personal interests. In animism, it is believed that spirits can in fact be killed, but it can only happen when necessary and always with a great deal of compassion. Animist religions also often feature shamans, experts in resolving interspecies misunderstandings, such as when humans insult hunted animals, knowing the whereabouts of others, such as distant food species, or combating aggressors, such as disease. Their work often involves dramatic trance rituals. Generally, animism is expressed in simple gift-giving, as when Native Americans offered tobacco or sage to other tribes or sacred beings. As a belief system evolving alongside human culture, today it is present in a number of religions, such as Shinto and Voodoo. A core mantra of animism is, it's not just humans who have feelings. Animals, plants, and rocks do too. and they all deserve respect. This understanding is actually very interesting to us now. With everything that we know about quantum physics and the source field investigations, and the research of noetic sciences, as well as the work of the Institute of Heart Math, we're actually beginning to see exactly the same belief system presented in a much more logical and scientific manner. That everything is a part of this grand, infinite, unified whole of moving energy that so far we don't know how to understand. It's almost as if these ancient beings had the exact same understanding, and they experienced it through the process of living life, rather than the way that we're experiencing it today, which is through technology. And so by moving forward, we're actually moving into this ancient understanding. By looking at these ancient belief systems, we really begin to wrap our heads around what these ancients knew and understood, and how we might be able to actually reintegrate that ideology back into our lives, but with a more complete scientific understanding about what it is that we're interacting with. What is the source field? What is the mind of God? And as we continue to look at the evolution of culture over the course of history, we begin to see very interesting things begin to happen. The evolution of new cultures within the pre-existing ones. Take India, for example. If you look back, one of the oldest religions and faiths on the planet was called Hinduism. And in Hinduism, the understanding is basically describing everything in the universe through symbology, but working like a giant clockwork, like a giant infinite moving, very systematized thing that is also organic. They have ideas of philosophies and concepts that are continually merging with other gods, and these gods represented different aspects both of the human consciousness as well as the universe all around us. They even have this sort of trinity of their own, of the creation, the destruction, and the maintaining of the universe. Have a look. Hinduism is a polymorphic monotheism. The gods they worship represent different aspects of the divine reality, the universal spirit that exists inside and outside of an individual. For example, you have the Holy Trinity of gods, Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. Brahma being the creator of the universe, Vishnu being the nurturing and preservation of the universe, and Shiva being all of the chaos and destruction of the universe in order to rebuild and create anew. There are many different levels and fractals within this hierarchy of creation, each part of a greater whole manifesting itself in different ways, which unite various different traditions in the minds of men, creating new matrices of devotion. A Hindu worships one or many gods, often both, depending on family upbringing, community, or personal choice. In this faith, it is believed that we are continually reincarnated, lifetime after lifetime. Our fate is determined by karma, the moral worth of our previous actions. The spiritual goal is to put an end to the rebirth of reincarnation and to be united with God. This is achieved through the path of knowledge and the path of devotion. The path of knowledge is the path of study, yoga, and meditation. The path of devotion is the path of praise and worship in reverence to God. Worldly activities, such as the pursuit of wealth, power, love, and pleasure, must be performed in harmony with Dharma, the natural laws of the universe. Their scriptures, the Vedas, are some 4,000 years old and define orthodoxy. Hinduism is the meeting of this big tradition, with many other local, smaller traditions adapting and absorbing with each other. Mythically, this process is expressed as big gods manifesting as little gods, or marrying goddesses. Hinduism is,